Hello and welcome to a rather late Rotors show. We've been a little bit busy over the last couple of months, so we've been doing other things like playing with fixed wings and all sorts of weird things like that. But so yeah, it's been quite an interesting couple of months for me. I've been doing all sorts of bits and pieces. Kev, what have you been up to?
Many things like yourself, fixed wing, new job, busy, all fixed wing, making helicopter flybarless units working in fixed wings. Crashing helicopters, the usual.
Yeah, that whole flybarless thing in a plane is quite an interesting thing. Hands-off knife edges are awesome. I'll just put some rudder in, just let it go with it. Anyway, that's fixed wing stuff. Apparently, we're a helicopter show, but the amount my T-Rex has flown in the last 2 months, you would never know it. I think it's moved off that shelf about twice. It's just, and most of that's just been to make sure it still works. But anyway, so we have tonight, we'll come to Dave a little bit later on because we've got someone a bit special with us tonight. We've got Casey from Esprit Model who has offered to come along and talk to us a little bit about all the stuff that Esprit do in the USA, but also specifically about the Jeti transmitters and all the gubbins that go with it. Because I've been playing with a couple of these recently on a friend's turbine fixed wing. And they're a little bit awesome. Casey, come and talk to us. Hello, welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you for having me here. It's really fun to get a chance to do a first podcast, actually. We've never done any of these, so I'm a little nervous, but it's really exciting.
No, it's cool. It's nice and low-key. We just generally have a little bit of a natter. So tell us a little bit about what Esprit do.
Well, we are an importer of fine goods. We sell predominantly to U.S. markets and to the Russian market. And we also are Jeti USA, so we are the U.S. distributor for Jeti Model.
Cool. Excellent. Now, I've been playing with one of these things for a little while, and specifically the DS-16, DC-16, which is the tray version. And so, just sort of, do you fly yourself?
I'm actually learning. I'm starting on smaller quads so that if I crash, it's not a big deal. But eventually, I'll get to full, Goblin size macho helis.
Well, Kev is our resident Goblin addict. He's got way too many of them.
5, I think.
But
and another one on the way. It's like I'm a proud father waiting for a kid.
No such thing as too many.
No. The correct number of helicopters to have is the amount you own, +1.
Yeah, tell that to my wife.
I have to sure listen.
So, so let's just cover a little bit about the Jetis that I've been playing with. It's the tray version, which is. Hang on, let me just show you a little picture of this because this is pretty neat. So I'll just grab this off the Esprit website earlier on. Now this is the tray version, but this has got an extra tray hand wristy thing going on as well. But you can use them quite happily without it. Now those neck strap bars, I think, is one of the features of it that I really like because I'm a very mechanical-minded person. I like these things to sit where you want them to sit, and that neck strap bar reminds me a lot of the old Multiplex 3030 in that it leaves the front of the transmitter completely free of neck straps and bits and gubbins and stuff getting in the way, and it also supports the transmitter, and you can control the angle that the transmitter sits at by choosing one of the 3 holes. And just that little thing alone is just a major piece of difference between everything else. Because, especially if you fly slope soaring or anything like that, you're trying to throw a big model off a hill. Just having a transmitter that sits there properly is quite nice.
Yeah, it definitely helps with the center of gravity when you're flying.
Yeah, so. What do you like about it, Casey? What's your favourite things?
Well, I don't necessarily fly the tray style, But on any of the Jeti transmitters, I think I like the fact that you can completely customize it to fit your flying style. One of the things that I've learned is I tend to do things off the normal path. So to be able to have a transmitter that I can completely customize to how I want to do it, not how someone says I should do it, makes it easier for me in not only learning how to fly, but once you've got the swing of things, and you know, it's just easier to fly and control your model.
Yeah. So the switches, you can move them all around, aren't you? You can decide if you want a long one or a 3-position one or a short one, and there's a bunch of different switches you can buy aftermarket as well, isn't there?
Yes, and Jeti model is constantly coming out with new ideas. Like they just released a 3-position, but one position is spring loaded, and then you have 2 fixed. So it combines what a lot of guys in the flying field want to see.
Yeah. My personal favourite is they do a locking one. You have to lift the top up in order to move it from one position to the other. Now that's great for throttle cut. You know,
Yes.
it's the perfect safety switch. It definitely stops that model from switching on. And the other thing that I really love is the position of the display. Because all the modern transmitters, they all seem to put the display down the bottom. So first of all, it's behind the neck strap,
And
so
you
you
can't
see it. Yeah, and so you're trying to peer around this neck strap, kind of go, where's the screen gone? So and then it's just a much more natural place for it to be, especially if you drink a fair amount of beer like I do.
Something the AMA frowns upon, but you know, it all happens, right?
Not at the same time. Not at the same time. You know.
Oh, okay.
Although a beer holder would be quite nice, I must.
Just
attach it to the side.
Yeah, definitely needs to be done. So I haven't had a chance to play with the DS-16, which is the more traditional shaped one. How do you find that? Is that the one you use?
Yeah, that's the one I use. Where in the States, that is the more desirable. It's the handheld version. So a lot of guys actually fly those. But as far as feature-wise goes, they're pretty much exactly the same, with one exception. The DS offers the accelerometers, which allow you to take your motions and make them switches.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, just the number of times I see people down the field and they're like fumbling for a gear switch, and I actually caught a friend of mine look away from the model, look down at the transmitter to flick a switch. I very, very nearly took the transmitter out of his hand and stamped on his nuts.
Yeah. I'm just thinking myself, because that would be good for the bailout on flybarless systems. Because you put your bailout onto the switch, so if it's going Pete Tong, you just shoot your transmitter.
Yeah.
Like all your sticks, you shoot your transmitter and it'll just rescue itself. That's a great little.
Save me!
Well, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, but how often can you get to the throttle hold switch when you crash it in time? I know I don't normally, but I could shade the transmitter. So no, I quite like the idea. That's a good one.
Okay, and then that brings us neatly onto the software, I think, because a lot of the, I mean, if you look at the price point of this thing, of the normal DS-16, not the 14, the 16. And you look at the price points of these, and it's pretty much smack bang in the middle between the kind of the 14 SGs and which sort of the low sort of high range stuff. So you're not quite getting into the top end radios, but also it's about a third of the price of things like the 18MZ and all that sort of thing. So it's a nice price point. And this thing is, it's aluminium and carbon. There's no plastic in that case at all.
Correct.
You know, it's
The only one that has plastic is the DS-14. When you get to the gimbals, they're actually plastic gimbals. So they still use the Hall effect sensor and magnets, but they're not the aluminum like the 16s.
So the DS-14 is still all the ball races and the Hall effect sensors. So there's no potentiometers to wear out and all that sort of thing.
Correct. Yes.
Awesome. But I mean, that was the next thing I was going to come on to after the software was the gimbals, because they are a work of art in themselves. It's great. You just got to take the back off and drool over them. Anyway, but back to the software. What I was going to say is that I've personally found the software is nice to use. It's simple, and yet it's simple to use for all the basic stuff, which is what a lot of the high-end stuff fails to do. Is they go, oh, look at all this stuff we can do. But if you want to set up a sort of crow brakes or something on the throttle, it's a long sort of drawn-out process of digging through manuals to try and work out how to do it. And for the most part, I'm not saying it's perfect because it isn't, but for the most part, I found doing the basic setup of just getting a model helicopter or plane working on this thing is really, really easy. And so the basic side of things. And then, and we're going to come along to the telemetry stuff in a minute as well, because that is what really makes this radio, I think. But the gimbals, just a piece of work of art, aren't they? I mean, have you got any bits and pieces floating around, Casey, that we could have a look at?
I don't. They're actually all in the shop, and I'm just in my office. But they do have aftermarket springs that you can tighten the tension on it. I have some stick ends that you could put on top of it.
Hang on, I've got some pictures. Here we go. Okay, there we go. I mean that, all aluminium. So are the spring tensions adjustable anyway, and then you can put different springs on if you want, you can't get enough range on it?
Correct.
That's nice. Look at that. I mean,
you can actually rotate them as well. Like if you look, you can see where the bolts are. You can loosen those two bolts, and you can rotate them 90 degrees or whatnot.
Okay. So if you're finding that you're tending to put sort of a bit of left aileron in or with elevator, then you can tailor that to your wrists. That's nice. That's
Correct.
Nice.
Yeah, that was one of the nice features of my 14MZ. That was that I could just turn the gimbals just a little bit, and I could tilt them out as well just a little bit, just to fit your hand better. That's one of the good features on the higher end radios, and it'd be nice if some of the cheaper radios had it as well. But,
I mean, these in the UK, these are, I think they're about £1,000. Just over £1,000, depending on the tray version's a little bit cheaper than the standard version. I think the tray version's about £900 and the pounds, and then the normal version is about £1,050 or something like that. What's it work out in the States, Casey?
In the States, the tray version is $1,100, $1,200 actually, and then you go up to the DS-16, which is $1,300.
Okay, so it's they're not. I mean, yes, they're an expensive radio compared to the budget. Your Spectrums and your low end Fitabas and that sort of thing. But I think for what you're getting, what you're really getting as well, in which we'll cover in a minute, it's really good value for money. Which brings me neatly on to the telemetry stuff.
The awesome stuff.
The really awesome stuff. I love this stuff. I mean, it's not. See, other radios do stuff like tell you voltages and give you alarms and things like that, and it's like, well, yeah, okay, it's nice to know when your battery's flat, but voltage doesn't really give you whether your battery is actually flat. It gives you a reasonable guide, but it's not the guide because the voltage you're getting depends on load. So if you're cruising around in the hover or helicopter or part throttle on a plane, or just sort of on your quadcopter, the voltage you get, you could quite easily over discharge the pack before you hit the alarm.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you set the alarm higher, you're not getting a full flight's worth out of the pack. Now, they Jeti do this thing called a MUI, and they do different current ratings for them. So basically, what they're doing is they're measuring the amount of current that is coming off the battery, and it can be on any battery. It can be a receiver pack on a nitro or on electric. You can measure the amount of current that you're pulling out of the receiver pack. The flight battery. So, and then from that, they also tell you voltage as well. And then from that, they actually give you how many milliamp hours have been used out of the pack, which you can then set alarms on.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of along the sort of lines that the Contronic, which speed controller is it, Kev? Remind me.
Yeah, Contronic do it. Mikado have got it in the V control, but I think it is a quite expensive option on the V control to have it.
Yeah.
And obviously the 18 MZ and the 28X, they do it as well. But again, they're double the price, aren't they?
Yeah. And how much? And those sensors are cheap as chips. I mean, like the 30 amp one is what? How many dollars? Do you know off the top of your head, Casey?
I don't off the top of my head, but I can pop on real quick.
It was like 30 quid or something for the 30 amp one, and then the 75 amp one was only about 40 quid. So
for us it's $38 to $62 for the whole range.
So, oh right, and that covers, and because they do a 200 amp one, don't they?
Mhm. Yes.
And that's so $60. So if you take a Castle speed controller and you put the MUI on it, it's still $100 or more less than the equivalent Contronic. And
yes.
That gives you the same functionality, except that the MUI gives you even more functionality because it can give you a countdown to it. Rather than just going, no, I'm going to drop your head speed now, you could set up voice commands on it to actually give you a countdown to when you're towards when you're running out of, and the voice stuff is awesome as well. And then if you haven't got a speed controller, you can actually go and buy the Jeti speed controllers, which have got the telemetry stuff built in, haven't they? They've got the current sensing.
Yeah, when you get.
Sorry, carry on. I'll let you answer it.
I would say when you get from the spin to the Maisons, that's when you get into the telemetry.
Yeah, I mean the Maison speed controllers aren't cheap, but then neither are the equivalent things that we're talking about. Mm-hmm. And I was looking at what they give out on the telemetry of these Maison speed controllers. It gives you amps, voltage of the pack, amps of the BEC, voltage output of the BEC, and temperature of the speed controller. And it's got an RPM output as well built in for your governor of your flybarless system. So it's like it's proper belt and braces.
Yeah. Fully featured.
Yes. This is something I want to ask you as well, actually, Casey, is that because I'm looking at the high ampage ones, that the sort of amperage that you'd be using on a 700 size heli, they only seem to go up to 8S. Is that right,
no.
Or are they doing 12S ones?
We do have 12S. Take a look at the Maison. I think it is 190. Let's see.
Okay.
Let me find which one exactly is. Yes, the 130 is 12S.
Okay. I mean that'll cover.
That'll cover most 700s. I mean, as you know, I'm only running 120 in mine, and I do abuse it quite a lot. So,
I don't think we have any higher than 12S, but it does go to 12S.
Cool.
That's cool. Okay, that's good. I couldn't find it earlier.
Yeah, I think the idea of having actually the live telemetry coming straight back to you is a great idea because yeah, some of these other speed controllers do it. They do the login. That's it. It's just logging.
Yeah.
They don't give a live readout. They don't send it back to you.
Yeah. It's the for me. It's the effective fuel gauge stuff that is just awesome. And the alarms. Don't get me wrong. The alarm side of things is great, but it's the fuel gauge side of things which is a really big thing. You're not limited to that 4 minutes flying. That is dependent on you flying in the same way all the time. You've got that actual fuel gauge, and then on top of that, you can then do things with the telemetry values as well. So you can actually use it as a control. So, for instance, I've been struggling to think of one that you do use in a helicopter. But say, for instance, okay, let's say you've got a air retracts on a helicopter, on a scale helicopter. Here we go. Got it in there. So let's say you've got air retracts on a scale helicopter. There is a telemetry sensor which measures air pressure. Okay, and it measures up to 10 bar, so that's the sort of reasonable values that you'd be seeing in a thing. And you can configure that to then, if the pressure gets below a certain alarm point or a certain value, not only can you make it announce it, but you can also make it automatically drop the gear. So if you spring a leak in the air, not only will it tell you that it sprung a leak, but also that it will automatically drop the gear, hopefully whilst you've still got some air left in the system.
Yes, you can set up logical switches where it's kind of an if-then situation.
Yeah, and it's that sort of thing. I mean, for instance, if your speed controller gets too hot, you can then, the telemetry back from your speed controller gets too hot, you can then chop the throttle, or bring the throttle back to a certain level, or as well as sounding the alarm. It's an extra kind of layer of stuff. And we've been looking at doing things like because there's an airspeed indicator as well, and Jay's turbine boomerang nano with the DC-80i Ren in it, which is freaking awesome, I might add. It does 180 miles an hour, and we know that because the telemetry tells us. But you can also do stuff like if the airspeed gets over a certain value, you automatically pull the gear up, so to stop you from overspeeding the gear. Same thing with the flaps. If your airspeed gets over or under a certain value, you can drop the flaps or bring the flaps up. And there's lots and lots of things you can do with all this telemetry stuff, and it's literally unlimited. You go, I want to, when the sun is shining, I want it to switch the lights off.
Pretty much.
There's no kind of preset kind of software in there. It's just a bit of software that says, if this is happening, if this value, if this thing which you set up is doing this, is above or below a value, then I want you to go and do that.
And one of the
flexible than that.
No, one of the great things about it too is like the software itself constantly has new firmware updates, and the updates come with new features too. So as it's already virtually limitless, as they listen to the pilots, they add more stuff to it.
Yeah, and so from what I've seen so far, the transmitters are firmware upgradable, all the sensors are firmware upgradable. The receivers are firmware upgradable. Oh, I swear, that's something we haven't talked about, the receivers. All the sensors are firmware upgradable. And even they do a BEC, which is dual battery input. So and it automatically pulls the current off of the battery that's got the higher voltage. So you're always pulling you never pull one down before the other one, and that's got telemetry on it, and it's firmware updatable. So it doesn't matter what happens over the coming years, all your gear is going to stay current. That's amazing.
Yeah. Which you can't say really about some of the big ones. I mean,
No.
One of the things you did touch on before was like the easy use of the software. I mean, I know from experience some of these higher end radios, specifically the German-made ones. They're just so confusing to program. They're just absolutely ridiculous to program. And ease of use is a big thing. I mean, which is why a lot of people are running Spectrum because of ease of use.
Yeah. Now,
and that's the thing. If the radios are easy to use, people are going to pick them up. People are going to pick them up.
There is a slight downside in that when you do start getting on to doing the more advanced stuff, it does get a little bit trickier because you're dealing with stuff that it's right on the top of the curve of development. It's the latest, greatest stuff, and with that does come a little bit of, I want to say funkiness, but it's not really funkiness. It's just getting used to how it works. And, and there's a few little gotchas that I've been talking to Katie for a little while with various problems I've been having, and they're not really problems. It's just sort of misunderstanding how it works, and that's the thing. There is when you want to start doing this really advanced stuff, there is a bit of an experimentation to it, working out exactly how it does it all. But the basics are just there, really, really simply, really, really easily, and it's got the power there as well, and that's what I love. Simple or as powerful as you want.
So cool.
It's really nice. So
yeah, they do look pretty funky actually. I mean, I'm not 100% sold on the looks, but like you say, functionality, what it feels like in your hand, and what it can do, they're the important things.
Yeah, I want to get a DS. I want to find a DS-16 in my hands. I want to play with one in my hands because, I've owned an awful lot of radios in my time, and I have owned tray radios like the Multiplex 3030 in the past, and so I'm not unfamiliar with the tray, but I am, because I've been flying not the standard layout so much since then, I've kind of got used to it, and I think if I had the choice, I would definitely go with the DS, the non-tray version. But because you can still fit the bars, you don't need to use the tray version. Have the bar, the neck strap bars. You can use the neck strap bars on the normal version as well.
Yeah, and you can put them in a tray even, and it's just a smaller transmitter.
Yeah, and I like the switch layout a little bit more on the non-tray version. It's just, I just need to have a play with one. But it's just the power. I mean, I've been trying to wrestle Jay's one out of his hands for a couple of days, just so I can take it home and play with it. Just like play with all this really cool stuff, because I've only really just started touching on the telemetry control side of things. Because I want to set up a thing on his turbine where on the landing, so when he's coming in for his landing, he flicks the flaps into the first level, and then if the speed is too high, it'll flick in the second stage of flaps to slow it down. But then once the speed has dropped below a certain point, it then pops it back to the first stage flaps. So then it takes that whole kind of thinking about how fast you're going on the approach away from the pilot.
Yeah.
It leaves you thinking about. So it leaves him to think about, is there anybody on the patch? Is there anybody in my way? Is there any turbulence? Is my line on the runway right? It just takes that sort of concern of speed out of the equation and reduces pilot load. And when you're flying big stuff like big turbines, that's a really good thing.
Cool.
So, Casey, can you tell us a little bit about the power boxes?
Like the central box, 200,
yes,
100,
sorry,
and 400?
boxes. Yeah, sorry, central
okay.
boxes. Yeah, sorry.
Pretty much, they are a power distribution center that allows you to run redundancy either in your battery systems, your receiver systems, or both. You can plug in your servos directly into it. You can also plug your telemetry into it. It makes for a much nicer installation, and you really, really do have a lot of control when you run it through the central box.
Cool. Now, those central boxes, they're not a receiver, are they? They're just a distribution point, aren't they?
Correct, yes.
But am I right in thinking that you can plug several receivers, so you can have dual path.
Yes,
Is that right?
you can run dual path, and you can also actually take the R3 receiver and utilize the switching function in the central box to turn it wirelessly on and off from your transmitter.
Hang on, so what you're saying is I don't need to switch on the model anymore?
Correct.
How awesome is that? Can you do that with the main power and electric as well?
Yes, you can. You just need to make sure you purchase a switch mechanism to install in line in your system.
Ultimate safety stuff. Kev, what do you reckon of that?
Yeah, it'll save getting burnt fingers anymore, won't it?
Yeah, that would be nice.
You'd be plugging it into an essentially dead system, and it's not going to go live until you fire in the relays, pretty much, isn't it? You're firing in remotely operated relays.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you're never going to be anywhere near a model that's attempting to hot start by accident, are you?
Nope. Been there, done that, got scars.
That's properly cool. That's properly cool. Awesome. Anything else you would like to? I'm obviously very conscious about your time.
Yeah.
Casey. You okay?
Yeah, I'm good so far. I just have to head out soon. It's getting
Cool.
close to the end of our day.
Yeah, we wouldn't want you to go home too late, would we? Wouldn't we want to keep you late?
They'll lock the doors and leave me in here. See you tomorrow.
So I've also. Have you got any? There's a new one coming, isn't there? A new transmitter coming.
There is in production right now. Actually, pre-production. They're still working on it. The DS and DC-24. I think the only one we've actually seen prototypes of is the DC-24. But it is going to be a 24 channel, and the only thing that I know different about it is it's going to have a full color screen on it.
I think there was something else as well, wasn't there? There was a different frequency, complete different frequency band it's capable of using, like 900 megs or something, as a double backup.
Yes, you are correct. It does have the ability to use, I think it does its dual frequency, and then it has that 900 megahertz as a backup in case the other two fail.
Wow. So is the DS-24 confirmed? Because last I saw, we weren't sure whether it was coming.
No, it is not confirmed. I know the DC. I know they're working on that. I don't know when we will see them here in the States, because obviously they come out in the Czech Republic before they come out here. So right now we're hoping that maybe towards the end of the year we'll see them come through, but I really don't know much information on them because they aren't out yet.
Cool. Yeah, that's really nice.
I know they were released at the Nuremberg Toy Fair this year directly from Jeti, so that's like their, hey, this is what we're making, take a look at it. Other than that, we don't even have ours.
Yeah, that's cool. Right, excellent. I mean, just a final recap on the sensors that are available. So there's voltage and current sensors, there's temperature sensors, there's phase sensors to measure RPM on electric motors, there's optical RPM sensors that will just pick up on the prop, so you can either use it on a nitro, petrol, or an electric if you wanted to. And there's fuel flow sensors both for petrol and for propane, for paraffin. For gas turbines. My mate's got one of those. It's freaking awesome. It's like no more worries about how much fuel it's using. It just sounds an alarm when it's getting low. Job done. It's awesome. It is quite an expensive option, but it's awesome anyway. There's regulators, the speed controllers, and for less than the money that you can spend on just a JR or Futaba high-end transmitter, you can buy all of these sensors. It's just mental.
And like a cool thing too about the sensors is you don't necessarily have to have the Jeti transmitter to utilize them. For example, we have one of our team pilots who took actually the Profi box and he took a few sensors for his batteries, and he set up a charging station. So while he was at the field flying, all he had to do was carry around that Profi box in his pocket, and he could essentially keep an eye on his batteries that were away charging at his flight station.
Okay, that's neat. I'd forgotten about the Profi box actually. That's that's a standalone telemetry system. So if you don't have to have the Jeti transmitter to use the Jeti telemetry.
Correct.
That's nice. And how much is the box, the Jeti, the Profi box?
Profi box, and bear
Sorry, I
with
put
me.
you on the
No,
put you on the spot again.
I have no idea about prices. It's $160.
$160. That's not
US dollars, of course.
US dollars. So it's not a huge amount of money. You know, if you were pondering to get into that.
120.
Yeah.
120, something like that. That's not bad.
Yeah.
So one final question, and I'll let you go because I know you're busy. I'm sure you're aware that flybarless systems they support things like S-bus and that sort of thing. So you have one wire that comes out of the receiver that goes into the flybarless that feeds all the channels into it. Does Jeti do something along those sort of lines?
They do UDI, PPM out. I think they do EX bus is the duplex one, and I'm not sure, but they might do some S bus. I'm not 100% sure on that one, but I know the other three for sure.
Cool. And the receivers, I was looking at the range of receivers earlier on. They go everything from a 1 gram 7-channel.
Yeah, the R7 Nano, which we can't actually sell in the US because they're not FCC certified. But then it goes all the way up to, I think, an R18.
Yeah. And they've got... Kev's got some problems with the dog. And some of those transmitters, they have direct power input, don't they? You're not reliant on the servo connectors. You can have a nice big fat multiplex connector to directly put the power in, haven't they? Some of those. There's so much options there. It's almost too much to go. Actually, which bits do I want? What do I need? I'll stuff it all. Just give me all. Awesome.
Well, the great thing is, though, is Jeti offers options from people who fly, tiny machines to people that fly giant scale. So based on kind of your application, narrows down the range of, what you should be looking at. And you can, a simple call or an email to us, we can definitely help you narrow that down as well.
Excellent. That's very, I mean, they've been really quick your support guys have been incredibly quick to respond to emails. And just really, really good, proper, good solid advice as well. It's been, very, very, when I did get stuck a couple of times on some telemetry-based stuff, I was having some trouble getting it was a fuel sensor actually to reset its maximum value. And they were pretty quick to answer back, and once I worked it out, it was really easy, really good.
Awesome.
Right. Thank you very much, Casey.
My pleasure.
Greatly appreciated coming on.
Well, thank you for having me.
Anything else you would like to add?
No, I mean, I think we talked about pretty much everything about it. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said me.
No, I did. Yeah, no. Anything else you want to add? Anything else you want to add? That was directed at you.
Oh, no, I think we covered pretty much everything from the firmware to the individual standalone telemetry system. And
yeah. Cool. And we'll put a link up to your website later on.
Awesome, thank you.
Page. No problem at all.
Thank you very much, Casey. That's greatly appreciated. I shall let you get off and do some work before you get in trouble with your boss for hanging out on a video call with us. Thank you very much indeed.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
That's okay.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow.
Right. Yes. A lady,
a
lady that knows more about electronics than we do. You can unmute yourself now, Graham. You're fine. I can see he's got the Charles Bronson look going on over there.
I think it was more like Brian Blessed.
No, Charlie Bronson with the bald head. Oh dear. How are you, Graham? Anyway.
Not too bad.
Long time no see.
Yeah. You've been away for a while.
Yeah, we've been a bit busy doing other things.
Worky related stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nige has been busy getting married. We've not seen either of him since then. So we think he's just in. I think he's still in the conjugal bed. Not got out of it yet, to be honest.
And I think he's been a bit busy with the British Racing League as well. I saw there was an article in the Daily Mail that had him pictured in it. I think it was Mail, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That'll be nice then. Yeah, so he's been incredibly busy doing that sort of stuff by the looks of it.
So how's life up north of the border then, Graham? What have you been up to?
The weather's been absolute crap. I think I've flown about 4 times since you were last on. So it's just been miserable rain. Been building a lot. I finished off Hayden's Volt, which is very good. Had a major crash with that, and it had next to no damage on it. It was really, really good. Good fast heli. I've also just recently got a Fossil V2, so I'm trying that. But we got out with the helicopters quite a bit, just building and checking them over. And it's interesting you're on about transmitters because I just got a second-hand DX7. My friend Cameron, he's got the
DX7.
Yeah, it's really good. The only thing I don't like about it is the roller switch is a bit sensitive. It keeps jumping. It's very sort of hard to get used to.
I've never liked that roller switch. I've never liked it.
Cameron, he got a Mikado VBar, which is pretty good. I quite like the look of that. So
a lot of people jumping on that, hasn't there?
Yeah, well he's got his 700 set up with it and his 380, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, I think for if you like the way the VBar flies, if that sort of suits your personal preferences.
Yeah, I think that's why he got it.
It's very difficult to justify anything else. It's just purely from the ability of being able to adjust it from your hand rather than having to get out something and walk out to the model and that sort of things. It is difficult to, but I would.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, I'm getting past the looks of the thing now.
Are you?
I'm getting past the looks of it, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've had a good look at Tony's, because Tony's got one at the club here, and I've had a good look, I've had a good prod and a poke, and had a feel of it in my hand, and you know what, it's actually good. You should get past the looks, because he looks so Fisher-Price, it's not even funny. It just looks tacky. It looks tacky as hell. You know, even the champagne, the chromy champagne one, still looks so tacky and horrible. But in your hands, it feels nice. It's a nice weight. It's nicely balanced. It's got the 14SG gimbal, so it's got good gimbals on it. And the software is it's just absolutely bob on for helis. But you've also got.
I'm just going to put this here because it's.
Well, yeah, but that is the perfect radio if you're doing everything. Which I agree. I mean, that's the perfect radio for everything. Your scale helis, your big planks, your gliders, everything. That's the radio that encompasses everything. But for helis, and if you do like the way the VBar flies, which I have a confession that I will make in a minute or two.
But that's mostly because you've been having the 3-blader has been giving some issues, hasn't it? For
Well, but if you are predominantly VBar, there really isn't an argument against the VBar radio.
No,
there isn't one. I mean, at the minute on my 2 3-bladers, I have got VBars on them. No, you can't. Won't be able to see on that one. I pulled it down. But yeah, I've got VBars on them. I acquired them cheap just to try things because I like my Vortex. I love the way Vortex flies on a 2-blader. Now on a 3-blader, I just can't quite get it. I cannot get the same tail feel on a 2-blader as I can on the 3. Oh, sorry, on the
Yeah.
3-bladers. I just can't put my finger on it. I've tried everything. I've gone to full resets. I've started again. I cannot get it. Now, I put the VBar on. Tail, instant. Tail is perfect straight away. No dicking around, no messing. It's done straight away. Granted, the cyclics aren't quite as snappy and responsive, but I can live with that because the trade-off is it's probably a little bit smoother, if that makes sense. So it's one of them. I'm seriously contemplating the V radio myself. However, it will have to have a wrap on it of some description to make it look not quite as the other learning centre.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, humble pie has been eaten the whole freaking plateful. Because I'll be honest, I don't like VBar on a 2-blade. I don't like it. And I love Spartan on a 2-blade, but equally, it's completely the opposite way around on the 3-blades. I don't know what it is. I just can't get it to work on a 3-blade.
It's got to
works
be
straight away.
something to do with the amount of mechanical gain or the torque curves, or the way the torque curves in. It's just upsetting the tail.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, you have to just mute you a minute, Derek. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't fully understand it. But I know Angelos is working on version 4 of the Vortex firmware, so once that's out, I've not sold my Vortexes. I've still got enough Vortexes to put on all my helis. I'm selling 2 full-size Vortexes, but I've got enough nanos to go on all my helis, so that's not a problem. I will try them again on it, but at the minute it looks like it's going to be Vortex with 2 blades and VBar with 3 blades. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get to it eventually, but it's just one of those things.
He's very, very busy at the minute, Angelos. I mean, I know he's gone back to. You just there was a funny noise, Derek, with your microphone. If you unmute yourself, Derek, at the top of the screen, if you unmute yourself. No, I'll start. Oh, okay. But anyway, so I know Andrews is very busy. He's gone to visit his parents over the summer, which he does every year, so he's having a couple of weeks off. Very well earned. However, myself and Adrian have given him a little bit of work to do, shall we say. Because we're having a chat over a few beers over the internet, as you do, thinking, planes with gyros on. Planes with gyros on, and wonder what it'd be like putting a flybarless controller into a plane. Now, we fitted one in as normal, thinking, it'll work as a...
I think someone's going to get... there we go.
Go on, press the button. Bye-bye.
Right. You always get one, don't you?
Yeah, there's always one. But anyway. But yeah, no, we put one in thinking, it'll just work as a normal plane. We'll just set it up as a single servo heli. And Angelos pipes in and says, "Oh no, you don't want to do it like that. You want to do it like this." So it's now set up in the world's most complicated way ever. If we were to explain it to you, it would still be here next week.
Basically,
however,
I'm going to try. I'm going to try.
Go on.
Right. Imagine a plane in the prop hang. Right, and then that's your helicopter hovering. So the elevator and the rudder of the plane are the elevator and the aileron of a helicopter. And then the roll axis of the plane ends up being the yaw of a helicopter. And at first sight, that seems a bit strange. But when you take into account things like yaw compensation and that sort of things, it all just suddenly starts making a bit more sense. So if you go down the flight line rolling, the roll compensation or the yaw compensation of the gyro actually keeps the nose up for you. So instead of it being this sort of this general arc as you're rolling, if you don't put any elevator in, it keeps it almost straight. And with enough speed and enough power, and going reasonably fast, it will actually maintain height.
Yep, it does.
And
everything does everything ridiculously easy.
Yes.
Now we're talking hands off hovering, hands off knife edge.
I wouldn't go quite that far.
You can, not completely at the minute, because obviously we need to work out what we need to adjust. But as a proof of concept, it's worked better than we could ever imagine.
Mm. And
you just wouldn't expect it to do what it's doing, but it is. Essentially, we have now got 3 heading hold gyros on a fixed wing, and it flies amazing.
Yeah.
The only draw side is you can't yank and bank like you would do on a normal plane. You've got to use rudder.
Yeah.
But that's no different than flying a helicopter.
No.
Because you've got to use rudder to turn a heli. So
it's actually amazing how natural it does fly.
Yeah, it's very natural. But I know he's now working on the proper firmware, and all these little things that we have come up against. There's a couple of little things that it does funky that needs a little bit of work, isn't it? But everything that we've come up against, I'll get ironed out pretty shortly.
Oh yeah, a lot of people call it cheating that I've seen. They call it cheating, and to an extent they are right. But when you take a model like my MX2, which is
my S-Batch.
Well, I think your S-Batch is more of a general. It's a bit more of a 3D, proper 3D than my. Don't get me wrong. The MX2 does 3D, but it is hard work because things like in the knife edge, it's trying to roll and pitch and it's just generally a bit squirrely, and it has to be. The way I like to describe it is that it takes a crap airframe and turns it into a bigger, more expensive, more accurate airframe. So you take something like my MX2 and it flies closer to like a bigger balsa plywood.
Yeah, exactly.
Better quality one. And
exactly.
And the other thing is, I've been able to move the CAG back to a point at which it would be horrible to fly. It would be properly deviant at high speed. It would be tucking, and at low speed it would be sticking the nose in the sky. It's just if you didn't fly it, it would just fall out the sky. But with the gyro on it, not only is it acting much more like a more neutral COG, but now it's making it less work for the gyro to keep it in things like prop hang, it still needs to be flown in the prop hang. Don't get me wrong, you still need to fly it. It's not doing it for you. It's just making it more like a better model.
Yeah, I can fully concur with that because, as you know, I've got these Hobby King S-Batches, 110 quid, ready to fly, with all the servos and shit in it. And I've just bought myself a Sebart Sukhoi. Now, if you know anything about planes, Sebart are probably one of the top 3 makes. And you got 3D Hobby Shop, Extreme Flight, Sebart, maybe another couple right up there with like the cream of the crop. And I would say at the minute, the S-Batches fly as well as the S-Batch does. As the Sebart does. Now the Sebart hasn't got a gyro in it, so I can directly compare. And yes, they do. The Sebart flies lovely. Don't get me wrong, it flies really well. But the S-Batches are just as good at the minute. So now a vortex in this Sebart is just going to be unreal. It's just going to be so much.
What does fixed wing stroke heli think about it all?
Heli Stig disapproves.
Does he?
Yeah, because he is fixed wing stick as well. He disapproves of gyros in planes.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Did you hand it to? Did you hand it to him and say this has got a gyro in it, or did you hand it to him and say what do you think of this?
Well, I'd just fly that to Reg, and he said it was alright, but he's not. I think it's one of them. He's that used to flying without gyros and a fixed wing. It's a little bit alien. However, Stig is on the beta team, so unfortunately he's going to have to learn how to sort it out. So, but yeah, no, he'll be alright. He's young, he'll get over it. As long as he starts road raging, people will be fine.
Now, if you're thinking about giving this a go, I warn you now, the default settings for a helicopter will not work in any way, shape or form.
No. If you want to try this on a fixed wing, message me, message Adrian, and we'll guide you through it. But be warned, your head will probably explode because you've got a set your controller up to do all sorts of weird shit, and your flybarless is all wrong. Yeah, it's just weird. You might be better just waiting until we can get a public beta version of the firmware. But if you want to try it, and it does work, I will guarantee you it does work. Give us a message and we'll help you out.
It's just that the bit that really did my head in was I was stood in the dining room with the model pointing upwards, looking at the sense feet, the sense directions coming out of the vortex, going right. So when I push the nose forwards, that's giving me rudder in that direction, and then when I push the nose to the right, that's giving me elevator in that direction. Is that the right direction or is it the wrong direction? Because the thing is, you have to get them the right way round. Otherwise, when you roll to the left, it will think it's rolling to the right, as far as the
corrections go.
The corrections, yeah, the pyro correction-y stuff is concerned, and then that makes it fly a bit funky. And the other thing is you have to be really careful. Yeah, and that was a big head.
Because it's not like an old fixed wing gyro where you've got the option to turn it off. You cannot turn it off. You've got to get it right before you take off, otherwise it's going to end up in matchsticks or confetti shaped foam. But matchsticks mainly. But you've got to get it right. But it's not. Once we talk to it, it's not that difficult, to be honest, and it does make sense. You'll be going through it and thinking, that's why they've done it that way. So it does work. It's our little hack, and it does work. But yeah, now if you want to try it, let us know, and we'll talk you through it.
Yeah, I mean, my MX2 is horrible. Without a gyro in it, in Harriers and stuff like that, it's horrible because it wing rocks really badly, and a human being just can't react quick enough to stop it. And but with the gyro, I can 45 degrees, nose in the air, absolutely rock solid, and just these beautiful circuits, figure of eights in the Harrier, and it is just beautiful.
It is quite funny as well because you're watching all the surfaces, they're going mental.
I've got a really cheap rudder servo in mine. It's one of the really cheapy ones.
Yeah.
And it's like £3 or something ridiculous, and it's really loud, and you can hear it working so hard. It's like
Well, I've only got cheap ones and these S-batches, but I've kind of gone all out on this about it's got BK 3001s all around. It's only 200 quid. Only 200 quid of servos, as you do. Well, if you want to do it proper. It's overpower everything. You know me, I've got the biggest motor that will fit in this thing, so if you're gonna do it proper. So yeah, when that comes round to making that work, that's just gonna be ridiculous. So the only thing we're missing really is the ability to change the throw endpoints on like the rudder and the elevator at the minute, which is the main reason why I've not got the vortex in this about at the minute, because it's sort of halfway between a spline to get all the throws equal, and I can't quite get it. So that's what main reason why it's not in. But obviously, once the
try moving the center point. What I did on because the ailerons you have to have the ailerons on a Y lead at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to be on one channel, and
yeah, it'll be better when you can have it on two.
Yeah, and what I ended up doing was messing around with the servo center on the vortex to get it sort of halfway between, to then get them both centered to each other. And you just sort of try one servo, one click one way, and triddle center, and then try the other servo, one click one way, and triddle center, and you end up sort of with them being equal, approximately straight.
Yeah, just a bit bored of that. I'd spent 3 hours trying to get it right, and I gave up and just ripped it out and just threw the 617 FS C with it. There we go, fixed.
But yeah, we really should talk about helicopters at some point this evening.
Well, yeah, well, I was just getting to that. There are some nice new ones coming out, actually. There is the Gowie X5 Speed. That made its debut at Urcha. Very nice, very nice. Unfortunately, not got many pictures of that, but there is some on the page. Goblin have updated the 500. Ta-da! Which is more like the 380. So I think what the smaller helis are going with the flippers, the speed style flippers, rather than the bigger ones.
Do they offer the standard undercarriage as well?
Quite probably, yeah, because they did that with the 380, didn't they? People go, oh, that's that shit. And to be honest, on grass, them flippers, they're worse than shit. Yeah, because he just wants to take over. I mean, if you're on a tarmac runway like we've got now, it's absolutely fine. It doesn't really matter. It's absolutely brilliant. But on the tarmac runway, on a grass strip, you're going to struggle.
Yeah.
But they like the new scheme. There's quite a few updates on it, actually, on the 500. I believe they're coming to the 570 as well. 380 is going 3-bladed as a genuine HBS3 conversion. So when I buy my new 380 to replace the one that I wrote off, that'll be going 3-bladed. Yes, you heard me right. I did write it off. Have I got any pictures of it? No, because I don't want to remind myself. It's over there on the naughty shelf, covered with the towels. I don't have to look at it.
Let's switch your picture back to yourself again. So we're still seeing a goblin at the moment.
Oh, that's right. You like the goblins. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, it's over there on the shelf with the towel cover over it. So put it this way: it was £20 more to buy a new kit than it would be to fix it. It went in that hard. Now it wasn't a just dumb thumb, tip it over, catch the blades. Oh, there you go, a couple of links, that'll be fine. This was a proper pyro flip at 2 foot off the deck, dumb thumb it, and drive the Fuka in hard, Captain. It went in big time. It hit the grass, not the tarmac, it hit the grass. But because it was bone dry, because it had been sunny, it just ate itself. It did the funky chicken before I realised what happened, and it throttled and did the whee off the main gear and all and everything. So yeah, not good. So yeah, I need a new 380 now.
Yeah, I wonder if with the Jeti, you could probably do a thing like yes, there's an altitude-based thing. You could do a thing when the altitude gets below a certain point. It would switch the motor off.
Yeah, like a floor.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can. There is something on one of the other radios. I believe it's been done on the MZs, where you can set like a deck height. Yeah, that's it. It's deck height. They call it a deck height. So you set your deck height to about 5 foot off the ground, and you flick a switch that sets your deck height. And then if you drop below that, it'll automatically fire it up.
Okay.
Takes over and fires it up.
That's no fun.
That was only on flybar, so whether it'd work on flybarless, I don't know.
Should do.
Well, you would have thought it would, but I don't think it's been done. It's one of them features that not many people used. So no, it's one of them. It can be done. Anything can be done with enough money and patience.
Yes, indeed.
So, yeah. So yeah, helis. There's like I said, a low coming out. There was a carbon exotica coming out very shortly from America, which name slips my mind now. But that has been posted on the main page, so we'll link that into it again. It
You've
is
seen the
very
new
nice.
Synergy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. Yeah. I like it and I don't like it in the same breath. The styling is quite funky, but obviously with it being one of Matt's models, it's going to fly amazing. Parts are going to be available, the parts are going to be cheap. But there we go.
So let's just zoom this in a little bit so we can see a little bit.
There's a guy on our website building one of them just now.
They're
nice.
What's he think of it then, Graham? What's been his thoughts so far?
Well, he's posted up a build and it looks pretty good. I mean, it looks well machined. The engineering behind it looks really, really good. It looks good, solid. The head looks great in it. So the feedback that he's given us just now is it's really nice.
Cool. We'll have to nick the link off you for the build thread and we'll stick it on.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean all Synergy helis are pretty really high standard of build quality and everything, and this, I'll be honest, it's going to be no different. It's just this. I don't know. I'm not sure if I like this three-piece canopy design. I mean, I know why he's done it. It's taking styling cues from the KTM off-road motorbike, and it's quite clear that you can see that. But I don't know.
The first thing I spotted was the rear servo on its side. That is just one of the basic things that really get on my tits.
Because the loading on the servo.
Because the loading goes across the servo mount rather than along the length of the servo, and that's just with it being mounted into the frame a little bit as well. It's just asking for it to rock. Which, admittedly, these days with flybarless systems, it's not the problem it used to be, because that sort of thing would have ended up. Oh, I've just been given a little bit of coffee. Thank you, dear. And it used to be an issue because that would end up with giving you interactions. But now you've got the flybarless system in between. It's not the issue it was. But I just struggle with. It's just not the right way to do it. It's picky. I know it's picky and pedantic. I don't know. Anyway, but
yeah, I mean, the Goblin servos lie down, but in the same breath, the Align ones stand up, and there's Mikado ones, they stand up. It's. I think nowadays in modern flybarless system, I think it's a non-event anymore. Yeah. As long as your servo's pretty rigid in there, you're not gonna notice any difference, because you don't need the bloody servo grommets nowadays on a modern electric. Throw them in the bin straight away. Just mount everything as hard as you can and then worry about the rest later. But yeah, it does look better with the tail cover on. But again, that's everything copying a Goblin again.
I just wish he'd kind of had the three pieces meet up properly. It's kind of.
Hey, I know what you're saying. Yeah, I think that's the thing that's getting me. But I can see where the styling's come from. The styling's come from the motorbike, and the motorbike is like that. So, but you've got the choice to go from a 700 all the way through to an 800 and everywhere in between, and it's just going to cater for everyone. It's going to be a one heli does all, so that's going to be a good thing. Now, one of the biggest things I can pick up from Archer is blade technology. And blade technology is about to go sick. Let's have a look at them bad boys. Now, they are. Let me see it there. This is not going to show it properly, is it? Oh, not going to show it properly.
If you do, hold down Control and scroll, it zooms in and out on the web page.
I'm not on the web page. That's on the picture.
Ah, okay.
No.
Anyway, the blade tips and stuff are getting a little bit interesting, aren't they?
Yeah. Hey, see if you can find a picture of them Excaliburs.
I'll have a look now.
Alright, but yeah, no, they are completely sculptured from root to tip, these new halos, and they are very, very funky, shall we say, and they're for speed flight predominantly, but people are thinking, oh, that's going to work for 3D as well. And whether it will or not, I don't know, because, like we were saying earlier, the only aspect of RC helicopters that you can translate to the wind tunnel is speed helis. You can't translate a 3D heli to a wind tunnel. It's just not going to happen. The only way you're going to get any R&D on a 3D heli is see the bands flying, go out, beat the snot out of it, see what it does, record what it does, and then make changes from your findings there. But speed technology, it is coming. There's going to be some really funky bird blades. Just the one here, let's have a look. I can't see it. Oh, come on.
So it's
my mouse is there.
like,
there we go. Yeah.
So it's got a funky tip to it and some weird tapering stuff going on. I was hoping Mark Troutman would be around this evening for this sort of, especially for this sort of subject of, because he's got some speed blades coming out as well, hasn't he? I was hoping you'd give a bit of insight into it.
I've got pictures of Mark's blades as well. But yeah, no, obviously this is what Mark does for a living, and he knows more about it than any of us. But yeah, no, there is some really funky sculptured tips. Now, if you look on like the real size Pumas and the Pavoks and stuff, they've got sculptured tips on the blades. That is so they can reach the fast speeds that they do. Because obviously, it's only so fast you can spin real heli blades because of the inertia and the weight on the roots and everything. So they've got to do the sculpted tips, so they're not getting retreating blade stroke. But obviously, it's now trickling over to heli, to RC, which is a good thing because I don't think they've quite broken the 300 kilometers an hour yet. I think the HSB cut was just shy of 300. So.
But if you look at the if you do the maths on the speed on the rotor blade on the head speed of the models and compare that to the full size, the tip speeds are actually pretty similar. We're doing a lot more RPM than they are, but the actual the speed that the tip is going through the air is actually quite similar, which is why we're seeing kind of the 200 mile an hour limit the same way as the full size helis do.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you look here now at Mark's blades, so he's got like a chronological order of where he's come from the matte blacks to the red tips to the black belts and now the black belt speeds. But they're also doing these sculpted tips in a 3D blade that Duncan's tested now. So Duncan's got a set of 3D capable ones that he's tested, or a couple of sets, or however many he's got. But so this tip that you can see here on the spins, that might be something that filters out to production, because as you know, Mark's pretty quick at getting his stuff out. He's like, give it to Duncan, and I'd say probably within a month or so, it's out on the market, ready to rock. So, but yeah, no, that's the spins. Now, Funky, aka Rototech, aka make pretty much every blade on the planet. They're also getting in the action with some boomerangs.
They are very funky, aren't they?
Well, they're living up to the name now, aren't they? But yeah, that's Rototech's take on it all. So yeah, they're like proper boomerangs, but again, sculpted tips for speed flying. It's all filtering down.
Mhm.
Very
So
true.
and Funky don't make a bad product, to be honest, because they make SABs, I believe. They make Curtis's blades. They make Alliance blades. They do their own rotor techs. They make Edge. Well, they made Edge, now Switch.
Mhm.
So you know, the Funky are a big concern. So they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They're not stupid. So I mean, I've had people say to me, "Oh, I've seen some stuff by a company called Funky. That's got to be shit on it." No, that's quite good stuff. Funky do a lot of OEM stuff for a lot of value manufacturers. So don't be afraid to buy anything that says Funky on it.
No.
So
I think the differences are that the different companies are speccing the blade, so it's not like it's the same blade coming out of Funky all the time for all these different manufacturers. There are differences between the blades. You know, it's
yeah,
just want to make that
just
clear before we label all these Funky blades the same.
no, they're not. They're not. I mean, I know the switches that Bert's producing now. There's a lot of input from Bert gone into them. They're not direct copies of Edge. There are some differences.
Yeah, he's moved the CPU around and stuff, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's had to play with them. The 380 switches, Bert designed them himself from the ground up, pretty much.
Okay.
You know, it's like everything. Funky is just a manufacturer, and then you got the people that are designing and tweaking and everything. So, but yeah, Funky. Don't be afraid of buying anything Funky, because they're one of the good guys. They're not a cheap Chinese rip-off. They are a proper bona fide company. Just the name sounds a bit shit. So,
yeah, they're. I mean, obviously, there's been quite a few shows and stuff since we've been on.
there has, yeah. I mean, I went down to Western Park, which was very busy. And quite good, actually. Yeah, it was quite good.
Nige has his own flight line down there, didn't he, with the FPV racing?
He did, but unfortunately he was shoved up the corner out of the way. Well, I don't know if you've ever been to Western Park show before, but you got the main flat line smack in the middle. You got helis to one side, you got the cars right up out the way, and Nige was beyond even where the cars were. So it was up. Yeah. I mean, I tried to find him, I couldn't find him, so I gave up. But it is a massive place. But yeah, there's been a few shows. What else has there been?
There was Air.
Air that I couldn't get down to because I had to bloody work.
Yeah.
Although I was fully prepped for that. So, well, it's been a few.
I was busy playing with a turbine on that day. I think on that weekend. I think I was working on the Saturday and I was like, shall I go to this show where they want me to pay to go and just spectate, or shall I go?
I think to be fair though, the paying to spectate was just to keep in line with all the regs and everything. So it was only a couple of quid. So, end of the day, if the club's hosting that event for an organiser, they deserve to have a little bit in the back pocket. I think, so. But yeah, no, there's been some good stuff. I'm trying to think what else has been going on. Obviously the new job, but I don't really want to go into that too much because it doesn't matter.
I have some news. I'd forgotten. I'd done some development. On the heli on my T-Rex. I have a tail that works.
Oh no! How did you do that?
By putting ridiculously sized tail blades on it.
Oh,
now there is a distinct chance that if I'm a little bit over adventurous with the elevator, I may get a little bit of main blade tail.
It'll only go tick a couple of times. It'll shut up after a while.
I'm just trying to work out. I'm just sort of progressive. I was in the process of progressively kind of increasing what I was doing with it. But I mean, in terms of like the classic thing I do, which is high tail load, is tail down, upright, anti-clockwise funnels, which requires a lot of tail power. And back in the day, I used to be able to get almost full collective on the old Night 3D before it blew out. But that had massive tails on it. There was, the boom would easily take massive tails, and it had a lot of tail pitch, and it had a nice fast tail on it as well. One of the reasons why I liked it so much.
Well, the Night was technically a 630, wasn't it?
I can't remember.
You could run 625, 630s on it, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, I think so.
I think we only ever run 600s. But
I think I was running 95mm tails on it, and
sounds
with
like
and it had a slightly higher tail gain, higher tail speed than the Align and the Raptors as well, and that was just it. I really missed that tail power because I can easily blow the T-Rex out, quite just even without bogging the rowhead, I can blow the tail out of the T-Rex, and so I was wanting just a little bit more grunt, and I was like, so I had these tail blades that were on the X5 actually, the X5 tapes. I think they're like 85mm. They're like 12mm bigger than the stock ones, and I'd sort of offered them up and went, yeah, it's a little bit close. So I'm going to be a little bit careful with this to start with, but it's transformed the tail completely. It flies so much nicer now. But I'm just sort of in the process. I was in the process of building it up, but then we started playing with this turbine, and unfortunately, the only club in the area where you can, within an hour's drive, that you can fly a turbine at, is fixed wing only. And that's another story. I hate that prejudice. I hate that prejudice. There's no need for it at all.
There was a discussion about that on Faceballs earlier about prejudice between disciplines again. It's just one of the things that's going to happen because I don't know why different disciplines discriminate against each other. They just do. I don't give a shit. I fly everything. I fly fixed wing. I fly fixed wing. I'll fly a glider. I'll fly a heli. I'll fly an auto gyro. I'll fly a quad. I don't give a shit if it flies. It doesn't bother me. It's all part of the hobby.
Yeah. And it's that whole respecting other people, what other people enjoy doing,
Yeah, exactly.
And specifically, I mean, DMHC was, although it was a Dorset Model Helicopter Club, still is, effectively, although it was Dorset Model Helicopter Club, we had a patch that you could take a fixed wing off of, a good size fixed wing off of, no trouble at all. We had 50cc stuff down there occasionally. And I can't personally see the difference between a 700 size helicopter doing a full 3D routine over the patch and a 50cc fixed wing doing a full 3D routine over the patch. I don't understand the different. At the end of the day, nobody is going to want to fly in that same airspace as those two models.
Nope.
What's the difference?
No.
And it's you just have to kind of, and I've even when we were up this fixed wing club, I was sat there with my MX2 powered up, waiting to go, and there was a guy on a trainer on a buddy lead practicing landings, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to fly at the same time as him. I don't want to put him off. I'm just going to let him practice his landings and let him get on with it, and then when he's finished in 5 or 6 minutes time, I'll go up and fly myself. And that's, I don't, he was in the same bit of air as what I was wanting to use. He was flying first. Let him get on with it, and I didn't want to put him off. It's mutual respect, and that's all that we need. That's all that's required. It's just a little bit of patience and everything else. And again, a similar experience down at Beaulieu. We went down to Beaulieu one day a couple of months back, which is historically a pretty terrible place to fly. Just anybody and everybody goes down there because it costs a fiver to. Yeah. Sounds like you're having fun down there, Kev.
Yeah.
There was a guy. There was a guy practicing an F3A routine, so big precision stuff, and he was flying donkeys away. But I wandered out, and he said, okay, take off. He said, oh, if you don't mind, could you wait a few minutes? I went, yeah, sure, no trouble at all. But the guy that came out just after me got really hissy about it, flying a fixed wing, he got really hissy about it. It's like, well, why should I have to wait for you to finish doing what you're doing? We can both use the sky at the same time. And it's just like, well, if this guy is practicing a competition routine, the last thing you want to be worrying about is mid-airing stuff. You know, it just wait 4 minutes. That's all it needs to happen. But anyway, enough of that rant. I doubt I'll get anywhere with that particular conversation at this other club.
No, you know, it's just one of them. You've just got to get on with it. End of the day, I mean, I'll share. If I'm flying helis, I'll share the airspace with the fixed wing and vice versa. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
We're all there to enjoy ourselves. Granted, if a heli meets a plane, it's all going to end badly. But end of the day, if a plane meets a plane, it's going to end badly. If a heli meets a heli, it's going to end badly. No matter what you do, if you have a mid-air, it's ending in bits and matchsticks. Yeah, bits and matchsticks and bits of foam and everything. But no, it's I don't know. Just some people, it's like the club politics, the meetings and that lot.
Yeah, it's just
nothing gets my back up worse, to be honest. I actually left the club, as everyone knows. I mean, I left the club last year because of that. I just can't handle it anymore. See you later.
Yeah.
And
now
I'm running a club. There's no politics, no bullshit. There's two of us. We've got full responsibility for the club, just so everyone else doesn't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
That's it, and it works. It works. People say, "Oh, how did you make this decision?" Well, we just do. It works. It just doesn't need fixing. There isn't a problem there.
No, indeed. People just have to trust that it's going to get done properly, and that's.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, at the end of the day, it is our responsibility to keep the club going and make sure everything works. If it doesn't work, just get on to us and we'll get it sorted. So.
Right. And there is actually, if you look at my personal Google Plus page, I'll dig it out and reshare it. But there is a vote which hopefully at some point in the future, when it's got enough votes, and it's got about 80 votes at the moment, but I'd like to have a few more. I'd like to get a few more people voting on that, because it would be nice to be able to say, go to the BMFA and look, there are these people that believe that it's about time we stopped all this rubbish of not allowing clubs of allowing clubs to ban certain types of flying, and you know, it's there's just no need for it, and it's just prejudice or you know, whatever word you want to use for it. I mean, if a man of African origin came to a club and you said, no, you can't fly here because you're from Africa, you'd go to prison. You'd get your ass kicked, you know. But for some reason, because it's not racism, it's fine. And that's what I think it is. It is racism. It's racism against a different type of model flying. And
in a form it is. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It's just historical, and it's always been the same with when RC first came out. You got your free flighters and your control lines, and you know it all stems from there. But I don't know. We all just need to have a group hug and get along.
Indeed.
Big group hug. Get pissed and.
Yeah. Which brings us back to the beer holders on the Jeti.
Yeah. just get one of them hats with the 2 beer cans on and the straws. That'll do.
Oh, and
I think that's it for me on helis. And fixed wing, to be honest.
There is something else rather cool that I'm doing at the moment. We're talking to a local clay shooting club, which is amazing. We've got a couple of prototype models going, or rather, a friend of mine, Paul, has, and it's just so much fun. So much fun. because you can and there's like little flashbangs on them and all this sort of stuff. It's just great fun. It's just awesome fun flying this thing around, making it as difficult as possible for them to hit it. And yeah, no, it's great fun. But anyway, I don't really want to talk about that too much because but anyway, because it's not helicopters, and we haven't really spent much time talking about helicopters tonight.
Well, no, it's just been one of many. We have been pretty much too busy to do anything with anything really. So we've been doing.
I must have spent the last month and a half helping Jay get that Nano going, and then he broke it, so then it got repaired, and then I helped him get it going again, and that Nano. I mean, if there was ever an argument for not buying second hand, it's that thing, because it was just an absolute bodge. You know, it had a different nose wheel on it to the main gear. So, and that nose wheel was only designed for a 3 kilo model. So the spring stretched on the undergear on the suspension on the first landing.
Oh, right.
It wouldn't actually go up. The gear wouldn't go up against the resistance of the airflow, because it was a fold forward one, and the ram wasn't big enough to overcome the air resistance. I mean, it was just, and the Nano is designed to fold backwards, and he bodged it with some bits of aluminium on one of the bulkheads, which was light ply, which was never designed to take that load, and it's amazing it didn't fall apart on the first landing. To be honest, it was just. On that nose wheel, and it wasn't until we looked closer that we realised what was going on. It was just
some people need have a good look in the mirror and give the red to wobble. Like that guy that put a flybarless head on possibly the best flying 500 on the market.
And Align. I mean, I was not a fan of the Align flybar head at the best of times.
No. I mean,
and then to put that on a Goblin.
Certainly on the 500, it was not a good head.
No.
I don't know if he's used a 500 head or a 600 head, but
it looked like a 500 head to me.
Oh, it did, yeah. But either way, you just don't. Why would you? Flybarless is now so cheap. So cheap. You can get a decent flying flybar
hang on.
for just over 100 quid.
There's a flybar in the background. Yes, but that's how it came.
That's great. That's on a heli that it's supposed to be on.
Yeah.
And is that a Raptor?
No, that's a 600 T-Rex.
That's a T-Rex. It's the Super Pro one, isn't it? I believe.
Yeah.
Its Super Pro head wasn't a bad head. It was the first one was a bit shit. But either way, you don't. With the price of flybarlesses now, you can get a really good flybarless for 120 quid. There's just no need to spend 50, 60 quid on a flybar head and then another 50, 60 quid on a gyro when you've already got a head there. You just put a flybar control on it.
It may be that he was. I mean, you could understand almost the situation where he didn't have a flybarless gyro, but had an Align 500 head in a drawer, and had something like a 401 that he could use on it. Possibly, I could almost forgive that. Almost.
It's unforgivable. It's sacrilege. Really at the stake.
But yeah, it's still an Align 500 head flybar, Align 500 head, which is horrible. Anyway, yeah. So, I think
that's about us.
I think we might be done. You have anything to add, Graham?
No, I'm okay at this end.
So,
one other thing. We've got a meet this end of this month. FPV Scotland. They're having a meet. They didn't want it publicised too much, but I don't think there'll be many people that are watching this that aren't there. It's up in Fort William, so we're having a meet with races and just a general get together and that. So we're all quite looking forward to that. It should be pretty good.
Oh, it's like a little shindig this up sort of thing.
Providing the rain stays away and the midges aren't too bad.
Oh yeah.
Scotland, so it's going to rain and.
Loch Ness and midges, they're sort of they're like a cake, aren't they? Loch Ness and midges.
The good thing is it's driving distance for me, so I'll not need to camp.
No, that's not too brother. But no, it's a beautiful part of the world, and everyone's in for a treat if they do go FPV around it.
Yeah, it'll be pretty good, I think. Yeah.
I love it up there myself. Right, I think that's us then.
Excellent. Right, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much for Casey for joining us and talking to us about Jeti and indulging my obsession with Jeti at the moment, even though I don't actually own one. It's the only radio that I have come across in the last couple of years that I've gone, actually, yeah, no, I do want that.
Yeah, you have to get Claire to treat you.
along with the 100cc plank and
a 700 Goblin
and a whole crap load of batteries and Oh well, right. Anyway, well, if this thing that I'm doing this weekend comes off, then it may be that I have a bit more spending money, but we shall see. Excellent. Right. Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay.
As ever, we're available on email and via Google+. Adrian at rotors-show.co.uk and Kev at rotors-show.co.uk. Or just drop us a private message at Rotors Google+, or on Hangouts. And
or you can also visit me on that other site called Faceballs. I'm on there quite a lot.
On where? Where? Sorry?
Shut up.
What?
Yeah, you can get hold of us. We're about. We're in the public domain all the while, so you can get hold of us.
Excellent. If you do decide to have a go at this whole gyro on a fixed wing thing, then let us know how you get on with that, because I'm intrigued to see how other flybarless units actually cope with it as well. Right, Thank you very much. Have fun and good night. See you next month.
See you guys.